If you're a 7 to 8 figure entrepreneur and the women that you truly desire always seem to be out of reach, this video is going to give you clarity on how to create natural attraction with them without relying on your looks. And this is especially important if you want to find your ideal girlfriend and start a healthy relationship with her, because the first step is to be able to attract her. So we're going to cover everything that you need in order to start executing on the information today and to start having better interactions, better conversations, and better dates with those women that you really like, so that you can filter and finally find and start a relationship with your ideal girlfriend. So the first concept we have to talk about is that attraction is not created with logic. That's why I say without relying on your looks. It's not the symmetry of your face that creates that attraction. It's not your job. It's not the money you have. It's not some witty line that you're gonna say. A woman is gonna think how I feel around this man, the emotions that she feels around you. A woman is gonna remember how you made her feel. Because women are emotional creatures, as are men, but it's even more amplified with women. And they're not gonna try to logically think and debate, okay, this guy makes this amount of money, has this physique, dresses this way, he likes his mother, and this other guy has this other job and is a bit older, but has this and this thing going on for them. Women will justify with logic, people in general will justify with logic, but they will decide with emotion. So they will feel attracted to a certain type of man, and then they will start justifying themselves and kind of putting logic behind it. Oh yeah, I really like this man because he has this, and this. But this is just what she focuses on. She made her decision already with the emotion, and now she's just logically looking for elements in your character, in your person, to justify her decision. But the main decision is made with the emotions that she feels around you. Now, these were many pickup artists and the seduction world comes in, and they understand this concept. They understand that the emotions are the most important part to create attraction. Now, the way that they go about it is contrary to creating it in a natural way. They think, what type of techniques, what type of tips and tricks can I use to create those emotions in the women? This is where the push-pull techniques come in, where the nagging comes in, and where many manipulation techniques come in that really push many women off because they can sense it, especially the intelligent women who can really smell that from a mile away. Now, we're gonna do it in a totally different way. We're gonna do it with the law of state transference, which is that emotions are contagious. That's why when you're around somebody who yawns, you feel the emotion of tiredness and you want to yawn as well. The same with laughter. If you've ever been around a friend who starts laughing uncontrollably in a situation, and it might be a bit of an uncomfortable situation, it might be on court or back in the day, it might be in class, he starts laughing uncontrollably, you see him, you don't even know why he's laughing, but you start laughing as well. And now you're in trouble as well. So this is because emotions are contagious. Laughter is contagious. Tiredness is contagious. And many other emotions are contagious. So we can use this law of state transference to, instead of trying to focus on the woman, thinking what type of things, what type of actions can I do to create certain emotions in the girl, and in a way try to kind of manipulate her. Instead of that, we can focus on ourselves. And this allows you to evolve to a paradigm of self-mastery. You become a person who thinks, how can I generate those positive emotions in myself so that then I can transfer them to the woman naturally and create that attraction naturally. So the emotions of fun, excitement, passion, and many more, how can I create them in myself and then transfer them to the woman? Instead of thinking, okay, a woman likes to laugh. A woman likes to have fun. So then I'm gonna think, what type of jokes would this woman find funny? And then you're on a date and you're more so in your head than in the interaction, enjoying it, because you're thinking and analyzing before you say anything. You're putting a filter between your thoughts and your words because you want to make sure that your words create certain emotions in the woman. But when you flip things around and you think, okay, how can I create those emotions in myself? I don't even think that much about the emotions that I'm gonna make or not make feel the woman, just within some limits that you don't make her feel uncomfortable and you're respectful. That's, of course, a baseline, a standard. But within those limits, if she's comfortable and you're doing it in a respectful way, you just focus on yourself. Okay, what type of jokes would make me laugh? What type of topics would make me feel passion? And this is what I call the emotional buttons, and finding your own emotional buttons. And I'll tell you, my friend, this is one of the most powerful concepts that I discovered for myself, because when I started going out there and interacting with women and doing cold approach and going on a lot of dates, at first I was focused on the woman. I even had some type of structure for the interaction that I had. So I would approach a woman on the street or even at night as well, in a bar or pub, and I would think, okay, in what type of part am I of the interaction? Do I have to create this? Do I have to create this emotion, that emotion? And it kind of became very annoying, this whole process, because I always had to be thinking. I was a lot in my head. I couldn't enjoy it myself. I couldn't be present. But once I started developing more and more of this concept of emotional buttons, I started experimenting with myself. One day I said, screw it. I'm just gonna try to have fun. That's one of the emotions. I'm not gonna think too much whether the woman that I have in front of me is gonna be attracted or not, she's gonna like me or not. I'm just gonna go out there and have fun and just say the type of jokes that I enjoy. And it was so amazing to see that I was having much more fun and the woman was having much more fun as well. And guess what? I was starting to filter for the women who shared my sense of humor. I was starting to filter for the women who shared my sense of passion for life, the type of topics and type of lifestyle that I would enjoy, they would enjoy as well. So what are these emotional buttons? What are the main emotions that you actually need to create that natural attraction in a woman? Well, let's start with the first one. We already covered it, which is fun. And look, this is no secret that girls just want to have fun. There's that song, of course, girls just want to have fun. And this is very basic, but it's something that you can never forget. Especially guys who are, you wake up in the morning, you maybe do some sport, go to the gym, and then you go into your work mode, and you're very logical. You're just executing one after the other, one task done, another task done. And you're just like in this logical mood where everything has to be done consequently, task completed. And then you go on a date or you go into interaction with a woman and you're still in that mode. And what happens is that you're trying to treat a woman like you treat your work, and it's not going to work that way. They're completely different things. Now, fun is a very important emotion because it creates a very good sense of connection. And it's, in general, humans really love fun. So even with your friends, like notice what type of conversations you have with your friends. You're not so logical all the time. Why? Because people like to have fun, and you have to transfer that emotion in a woman. Now, many guys do this weird thing where when they're with the buddies and they're just enjoying themselves, having fun, having their own sense of humor, maybe having some like dark type of humor, some edgy type of humor, if you enjoy that type of humor, that's what they do. And they fucking have an amazing time. But then they interact with a woman and they become Mr. Correct, can never tell a funny joke and can never do something funny because he's afraid of messing up the interaction. And this is, again, putting a filter between your thoughts and your words and your actions. And what happens then? Well, what happens then is that fun is just extracted out of the interaction. You're not having that much fun. You're a bit tense. a bit stifled, especially with whom? With the women that you actually desire. And that's why I cover this topic in this video, not just women, but the women that you actually desire. Because many guys, with the women that they actually desire, guess what? They're more careful with the words and actions that they take because I cannot mess this up. And that's when they start focusing more and more on the woman. The more you focus on trying to do something to the woman and less on trying to do something to you, the less attraction you're going to be able to create in an interaction. So again, you focus on the type of humor that you have. I'll give you an example. For me, one of my favorite comedians is Louis C.K. Maybe you enjoy his humor as well. And I noticed that naturally, after watching a lot of stand-up from Louis C.K., I start having similar type of humor when I'm interacting with people in general, and that includes women. And one of the ways of finding your own emotional button of fun is just to sit one day for 1 hour and watch some stand-up comedy, watch some comedy films, and try to notice when you start laughing. Start to notice when you start enjoying yourself. Well, my friend, you just struck gold. You found your exact type of humor that you need to convey in your interactions and your dates with women. And I'm going to tell you that you're going to notice that the woman starts being drawn into that fun, even if she's not into that type of humor. This is the craziest part. So I would make, when I was going out and doing cold approach, and at some period I was going out at night as well, so doing quote unquote night game and going to bars and clubs without drinking, just water, and talking to many women there. And I would be even more, let's say, edgy and dark humor in those type of environments because they kind of allowed it. Everybody's having fun. They're in a status where they're not going to get offended by a certain joke. It's not the same as if you told that joke or that kind of humor in a library as if you were telling it in a club at 1 a.m., you know? So that would allow me to like put zero filters and have the most outrageous type of humor that I really enjoy. And with women, let's say a woman who would be super politically correct, super, let's say, leaning left and having certain ideologies, and then I would make the exact type of jokes that would normally piss her off totally and would make her say, you know, screw yourself. But because I was having so much fun while saying them, well, guess what? She was drawn into that type of humor. And she would say, I don't even know how I'm laughing at this. And this is the type of reactions that you're going to get. And you don't have to do this in a club at 1 a.m. You can do it in a coffee shop. You can do it in a normal date, you know? You just have to, as I was saying, in this point of focusing on yourself versus focusing on the woman, you just have to make sure that it's within some type of limit of what's acceptable in terms of respect and in terms of not causing a scene, okay? But within those limits, and most people are gonna be within those limits because they lean more to being careful than being careless, 99.9% of men, especially the ones who are watching this video, then you just have a lot of fun, you find your humor, and you start conveying that in your interactions. Second emotion is passion. And this is incredible. So I'll tell you, when I started experimenting with my emotional button of passion, I was very much into self-development and even topics like NoFap. So NoFap is no masturbation. You may have heard about it. And I was very into it at that moment. And I would literally, in my conversations, whenever the girl would ask me what I'm into, I would talk about NoFap with the girls and they would be like, what the heck? We're talking about this, we just met. And she was actually drawn into that. I would explain the reasoning behind, and I would talk about doing cold showers in the morning when I thought that that was good or something healthy. I would even talk about the fact that I was coaching guys in this area, and I would talk about that I'm a dating coach and I was doing this and that. And the girl would be like, what the hell? And we would be talking about these topics which were very passionate for me. And the girl who had nothing to do with that, maybe she was like a ballet dancer, or she was just a student of economics, you know, in Madrid. she would be super drawn into these topics because I was sharing them with such passion. I was feeling that passion, that interest that cannot be faked, that has to be natural, that she was drawn into the conversation further and further. And this was the super cool thing. I noticed that I was enjoying the interactions much more. I was actually looking forward to going out there and meeting women. And you'll know, if you've developed anything with success, that one of the most important things is consistency. So the more that you can make a process enjoyable, the more that you want to do it, the more consistent you're going to be. When I was going out there and I had all these things in my mind and everything had to be perfect in the interactions with women, I would go out there and I would have more approach anxiety. So I would be anxious and fearful of approaching because I knew that I wouldn't enjoy the interaction too much. But when I started finding my emotional buttons and focusing on myself, then it became much more effortless, the process of going out there and meeting women. So again, going back to passion, you know what your passions are. The most important thing is that you do not stifle them. So if you're actually passionate, let's say about finances and investments, I have a friend who's super passionate about how to generate API with crypto. So that's literally one of the things that he really enjoys. How to make money, year after year with crypto. And look, if that's what you're passionate about, you can talk about it in the interaction. And the girl may not even know what crypto is and just knows Bitcoin, but you're just talking about it and you explain why and how and where and what, and she becomes drawn into your universe. And this is one important thing. Look, as a man, you want to have in your mind that a woman, if she actually likes you, she's going to be drawn into your universe. You cannot be ashamed or fearful or think that it's boring, because you actually have to share about yourself. You have to convey your personality, and then the woman is going to choose whether she wants to hop on the train or not. But I'll tell you, if you do it with not enough passion, many women are going to be wanting to be on that train. And then it becomes about filtering. And this is where abundance comes in as well, because this is with women that you actually desire. You can attract pretty much any type of women if you master this ability to create natural attraction with your emotional buttons and your law of state transference. But then what is the goal? If you're watching this video, I know that your goal is to find your ideal girlfriend. It's not just to have a bunch of hookups. If you want to have that for a period of time, that's fine as well. But the final goal for most guys that are watching this content that I'm making is to choose one girl that you really like to spend your time with and build a healthy relationship with her. Now, with this process, you're going to be able to attract many women, and then you're going to be able to filter which ones are the ones that you actually want to be with. So again, passion. Note it down, 3-4 things, topics that are actually of interest for you, and start bringing them up in the interactions and on the dates. And you don't even have to wait for the woman to ask you. You can do this thing called oversharing. So you're talking about anything. The girl comments like, you say, oh, what were you doing last week? And she says, oh, I was with my mom. I was doing this. I went shopping. I did this, I did that. And you can say, oh, cool. Well, you know what I was doing? I was doing this crypto thing. I was doing this business meeting that was super cool because there was this guy, he had these crazy ideas about you just start talking, you don't have to wait for her to even ask you those questions. You can do it, but if she doesn't ask those questions about those topics that you're passionate about, you just bring them up. You just start oversharing. And again, you're focused on you. You're in the interaction thinking, okay, cool, we're talking, it's super nice. Now I want to feel a bit of passion. Now I want to feel a bit of interest in the conversation. So I'm going to talk about the things that are very passionate for me. Or you know what? Now I want to feel a bit of fun because it's been very logical or passionate, super cool, super amazing. I have conveyed my identity to the girl as well. And now let's have a little bit of fun. So you just start sprinkling in some fun in the interactions to enjoy your time together. Third, arousal. And this is also super powerful, and especially when I discovered it was quite crazy because, again, as I was saying, I was going out at night as well, going to pubs and bars without drinking, just going out there, interacting with women, practicing my skills. And so I started practicing with fun and cool. I started making jokes that I really enjoyed. The woman was feeling that fun as well because I was feeling it. I started talking about passionate topics, and the woman was drawn into that identity that I had. And I was like, what about excitement? What about arousal? What if within the bounds of being respectful, within the bounds of the woman feeling comfortable, I would start sprinkling in the things that would create arousal in myself. So the things that would make me, oh my God, I feel very attracted to this woman. What if I start sprinkling those in the interaction? So that could be things like physical touch. Physical touch is one of the universal, let's say, arousal emotional buttons because it's something that it's very hardwired into us. So what if I, you know, put a bit more emphasis on, let's say, touching hands and touching the arm, put a bit more emphasis on this. And then for me, also eye contact. What if I maintain the eye contact a little bit more than usual, a little bit more intense? What if I put some silences in the interaction that I really enjoy, that I really like, that tension? And what if I become very present with the things that I really like about this woman? So if the skin that she had was very nice and perfect and it looked very, very soft, I would focus on that and I would start to feel those emotions. And the crazy thing is that those emotions were also transferred to the woman. I'm not saying that this is some kind of magic trick that works with any woman. There are women who you just don't connect with. That's totally fine. There are women who are not available. They will never talk to you. That's totally fine. But I'm talking about you're in a conversation with a woman. The woman is there talking to you, and you start feeling all those emotions, and you feel and you see how they're being transferred to the person that you have in front of you. So again, what are the things that create arousal in you? You can note them down, 2-3 things, and start to sprinkle them in your especially dates. So in an initial interaction, if you approach a woman in the street or in a park, the arousal is not going to be so relevant because you just met. You don't even want to feel that emotion yet. You're not at that step yet. But this is especially important in dates that you have. In the first date and the second date, many men say, Armin, I've been on 5 dates with this woman and nothing has happened yet, not even a kiss. Well, guess what? You need more emotional button of arousal. You need to feel more of those emotions and then transfer them to the woman because you've just been in that platonic level with the woman and you need to go a bit deeper and find out if she's actually attracted to you in that sense or not. And the fourth one is peace. And this is actually the base for everything. And I wanted to cover it last because it's something that encompasses everything else. So what do I mean by peace? I mean the fact that whenever you approach a woman or you're in a date with a woman, you're speaking to a woman anywhere, you feel peace and calm within you. It's that grounded energy where you know that everything is fine. You know that you're just here in this planet enjoying your time and that you're just very relaxed and you're very present. You're just listening to the woman and you're gonna say the following things, but you're not thinking about yesterday's issues with work. You're not thinking about the admin tasks that you have to do after the date. You're just there with the woman, focusing your time with her and feeling a sense of completeness in you. It's that sense of being calm when you're with a woman. And I'll tell you, I've received many compliments and one of them has been that peace. And this is something that I have worked on. I'll tell you one way that I worked on it was the going out at night to clubs and bars, super chaotic. I wouldn't drink anything more than water. And I would go out alone. So I had friends to go out with, but I wanted to challenge myself and I wanted to think, how can I develop more calm, more grounding energy, more serenity whenever I'm with a woman? Well, I'm going to go to the most chaotic environment and I'm just going to be one with the chaos. So I would go to a super big club, let's say in Barcelona, in Madrid, in Eastern Europe, and I would just kind of stand there for 2 minutes whenever I was feeling a bit tense and just letting the environment come into me. And there would be like groups of people there. Some maybe would look at me like the guy in the middle of the club standing alone and huge music, super loud. I was always wearing earplugs and the DJ and the lights and everything going on. But I was just standing there and I was even meditating there. This is one thing that helped me as well, but I was meditating literally in the club with my eyes open. And that's one of the ways that I developed this calm, this peaceful energy. And it's one of the compliments that I have received from women, is that you like kind of give off this peaceful vibe, like this calm vibe. Whenever I'm with you, I feel this peace, this calm. And this is especially important in the first moment that you approach her. Because look, if you're doing cold approach, you see a woman anywhere, let's say in the street, in the park, in a library, in a grocery store, anywhere, and you approach her, her default state is going to be a bit agitated because you're a stranger. So you don't know her, she doesn't know you, and it's that first point of contact. And she can feel a little bit of tension, and it's super important that you feel peace, that you feel calm, that you feel grounded, because then as time goes on, she's going to feel more of that calm, that presence, that grounded energy. And she's going to become more and more comfortable around you. But if she feels tense and you feel tense and everybody feels tense, this kind of like amplifies itself and creates awkward situations. And this is something that is kind of bound to happen. This is just something normal. It's the same way as whenever you start a new sport, you're a bit tense when you're playing it. Or even I went recently to horse riding and the instructor was like super chill on the horse, super easy. And when the horse we started going fast with the horse, I started becoming a bit tense. And you want to do the opposite. You want to be relaxed. You want to be peaceful. And we also spoke about the fact that this seems like a universal trait across disciplines, because the same happens in boxing and kickboxing, which is something I train. The more relaxed you are, the easier you can dodge the punches and the kicks, and the easier you can kick and punch. The same happens with piano, which I was studying when I was younger. And my teacher, a woman from Armenia, super professional, you could see that she was totally relaxed, and the music, the sound that was coming off from the piano was a totally different sound, totally different quality. Well, the same happens in your interactions. Whenever you're calm, whenever you feel this peace, you go up to a woman and you may say the exact same words, but if you're feeling calm, it's going to have one effect. If you're feeling tense, it's going to have another effect. And this is the power of emotions. Again, what did I say? Attraction is not made with logic. I cannot give you a script to make a woman attracted to you, but I can tell you the emotions that you have to practice in yourself to feel them and then transfer them to the woman. And if you have these 4 emotions and you can feel them consistently and transfer them consistently, and you speak to enough women, you're gonna attract naturally the women that you desire the most, be able to filter and be able to start a healthy relationship with your ideal woman. And this is the power of the law of state transference and the emotional buttons. So just to sum up what we've covered in the video, which is how to create natural attraction with the women you desire. Attraction is not created with logic. A woman is going to think how I feel around this man. A woman is going to remember how you made her feel. And we don't want to go into the seduction world and start thinking about tactics and tricks to how do I make her feel certain emotions? No, we want to use the law of state transference, which is that emotions are contagious, to focus on ourselves, find our emotional buttons, create these 4 emotions, fun, passion, arousal, peace in ourselves, and then be able to transfer them onto the woman and create that natural attraction. That's it for today's video. And if you're a 7 to 8 figure entrepreneur, you want to find your ideal girlfriend in person without relying on dating apps or social media, then you can go to armingaribian.com, which is my website, and you will be able to find out more about myself, see if we connect, and you will be able to schedule a call to talk with me directly one-on-one and see if it's a good fit for us to work together to achieve the goal of creating natural attraction with the woman you desire the most and finding your ideal girlfriend. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.